what was the bottom point for you growing up in that environment? And was it, in fact, the times you were fighting these cases? And if not, maybe even something worse than that you faced?
Um, I feel like it was really tough when my mom passed. So within I say within a 3 year period, my mom passed, my grandma, my grandpa, my favorite aunt passed, and my dad passed. All of them passed within like a 3 year period, and that really it put me in like a dark space at the time, you know. So music, that shit wasn't even on my mind at that moment. But I feel like that did it gave a light at the tunnel. The music did, because after that, that's when I started really going even harder with the music and grinding even harder, and really making it more of a career at the time.
How dark did things get for you?
Man, I didn't even want to come out the house at some points. Not being able to trust a lot of people, not having having family around. It just box you in a corner sometimes. And, when you get in a dark place like that, the best thing to do is have people around you that can help you out and give you encouragement. And I ain't have a lot of that. My brother, it was probably the only one. Um, a couple of my old bitches, they was on my side, shout out to them, some of my exes. But I mean, I ain't have a whole lot of people that was giving me a lot of encouragement to even do rap at the time. So, it wasn't something that I really even wanted to do when I was in that type of space. But, shout out to my brother, shout out to, the few that did have my back. I made it out of that and, pushed.
And even in those dark times, did it get as further as like suicidal thoughts or maybe
Oh
suicide
yeah, it was
attempt or
always suicidal thoughts. I never took it as far as to attempting it, but definitely had suicide thoughts. But after you sit down and you really think, and you get into a more of a positive place, you start thinking back on that type of shit like, how dumb could I be to end my life over something, that's not taking my life. You know what I'm saying? You can keep pushing, you can keep going. Long as you're still alive, you still can, turn things around. I feel like if you got the mind frame to do it and you're a smart person, you can turn that shit around. So everybody grieve, that's what happens when people die. Shit.
and for you, how did you cope with all these deaths in that amount of time?
Man, an ounce a day. An ounce a day keep the dragons away, keep the fear away. Like I was smoking heavy, heavy back in the day. Like we was smoking zips a day, fattest blunts rolling up every single day. Like it was smoking was something that relieved my stress. So that was one of the main things we did every single day.
Would you consider that an addiction back then?
Hell fucking yeah. I didn't think it was back then, but it definitely was an addiction. Just the amount of money that you would add up spending that much money on weed every day, like that shit can really topple somebody's funds. You know what I'm saying? Careers, funds, everything. Like people don't think that weed is an addiction, but when you smoking at a level that I was smoking, it's definitely addiction for sure.
And wondering here, I was going to say assume, but wondering, were you also using tobacco products with
Oh
these
hell yeah,
items?
cigarettes, blacks, shit, everything, anything that I could smoke at the time. Not like that, but y'all know. Yeah, weed, cigarettes, blacks, all of that. Like we used to smoke every day, all day. Like that was my nourishment, just to stay away from everything else, every other drug. I wasn't really a drinker back in the day, so I was really just a smoker for real.
Because there may be someone in the audience wondering, were you really addicted to the tobacco products used to smoke cannabis, or were you addicted to the cannabis itself?
I started with weed and then I started smoking tobacco products. So it was always started with the weed and then, the tobacco when I started trying to get off of smoking weed, start smoking tobacco and then, start doing them both together. And right now I really don't smoke as much as I used to. I smoke here and there, but other than that, yeah, I'm cool on this shit. That shit make me feel dumb sometimes. Paranoid now, getting a little older, so I'm trying to stay healthy, keep my body clean, eat good, stay in the gym, shit like that. Health is wealth nowadays.
And also, when it comes to all these people that you lost in that 3-year period, um, were these just Notifications you would receive, for lack of a better phrase, like, okay, so and so passed, and you get a phone call, or that sort of thing, or did you actually see any of these people lose their life in front of you?
Well, like my mom, it was a case to where she was in like a nursing care situation to where it was bad. She had cancer. She was fighting cancer. So like that situation, every other situation, my dad, grandma, grandpa, my aunt, she actually got killed on the west side of St. Louis, a drive-by shooting. That was like heavily televised and shit like that. But uh, as far as my family, no, not really. I didn't. I used to get calls like, "Yo, this happened. Yo, this happened." And that's what it'd be. But no, not like face to face in the hood, like my cousin getting shot or something like that. I done seen people get shot, but not killed in front of me like that. But yeah, I have seen people die too. So
So when you say you have seen people die, what do you like? You saw their last breath get taken, or
yeah, I've seen people's last breath. Not as far like no, not physically, but being in the hospital with somebody and the shit go off, buzzer, boom, and you get that flat line. I'm not physically right there next to them, but just seeing it happen when it's happening, type shit.
could you just clarify that a little bit?
So like
Respectfully
with my
asking you this.
mom,
Yeah.
she was in the hospital when she passed away. I was at the hospital, right after seeing, the I'm taking her out, shit like that, not actually seeing that last breath come out,
Got
but
it.
yeah. I've seen people get shot, shit like that, but they haven't died right then and there. So
And then there's other people that see a person passed away already, but they weren't there. They
they
saw,
wasn't there.
body
Yeah.
might be on the ground, things of that
Right,
nature,
right, right. I've
but they
seen
didn't
shit
see it
like that.
happen.
Yeah, I did see it actually happen. Yeah.
Okay, well, when it comes to your mother, I do want to ask you this, and I'm going to ask you this respectfully here, of course.
Okay.
But did you have the opportunity to see her take her last breath? And maybe that's something you just didn't want to see.
Yeah, that was something at the time I didn't want to see.
So
Yeah,
you
for
were
sure.
given that opportunity, or
Yeah, yeah. I could have been there to see it. I didn't want to see it. That was something I didn't even like seeing her in the hospital. So even funerals and shit like that, there's a lot of funerals that I haven't went to because I hate to see like, a person at that point being in the casket, seeing everybody crying and shit like that. If I got a good memory of you, I'd rather keep that good memory in my head instead of, getting all of that other shit.
and asking because there are some loved ones that want to see the
Yeah.
last breath. They want to be there for that. And then there's some like you that make a decision. They have the opportunity to do it, but they, push back against that. And more so, your line of reasoning, they'd rather see them in a positive state than,
Yeah,
that
for
sort of
sure.
thing.
Definitely.
Um, ha- um, Again, using this phrase, respectfully here, were you looking back? Did you make the right decision by not seeing that?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Nothing
Definitely.
you, um, what's the word? Nothing you wish you.
Nothing I regret.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
don't regret nothing. Hell no.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely made the right move for that. That shit could haunt you for real. I'm cool on that. That's why I say I'd rather see the positive shit, keep the positive memories in my head, and that's it.
Now, mentally speaking, here, we mentioned suicidal thoughts at one point in your life. Sounds like you've overcome it based on your description. But, going through that 3-year period of deaths and things of that nature, um, mentally, have you ever dealt with a professional when it comes to any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I've actually had a therapist before. They helped me out. This was a couple years ago. I was at a place in my life where I wanted to elevate, and I felt like I wasn't doing that. But I wanted somebody to speak to that was unbiased. Somebody who really didn't know me, who couldn't judge me off the fact of me doing this or them knowing me do this or whatever. I can just speak freely and have that type of connection with somebody and get the feedback that I wanted to. So they definitely helped me out. Shout out to my therapist.
And you've only seen one professional. Uh, you might have seen them multiple times,
Lifetime.
but
Well, I've seen them multiple times, but I had two. I had one that I used to go to physically, face to face, and then I had one that I used to use online. So it used to be like Zoom calls and shit like that weekly, and we'd talk, have conversations about how I'm feeling, what's going on, all of that type of shit. So
Now,
mental health is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you need to get help, make sure you get help. Don't just sit around, because a lot of times the people that you think are the strongest, man, that's when they do end up doing shit like taking their lives and shit like that. You need to have everybody back no matter what. And then if you do have, problems or mental problems that you feel like, you don't want to show certain people, go to somebody like a therapist, at the same time, they can't say shit about what you say in there. Like it's illegal to do that. So, you can feel comfortable with expressing yourself and saying what's going on.
now, how were you able to survive? Zooming out here, that upbringing in that particular location of St. Louis, because there are some who don't make it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, just having, the people around me, my team around me, support from my family, my brothers, um, that's what really, I had to open my eyes and see what was really out here. Like the world is a lot bigger than St. Louis. A lot of people don't make it out of St. Louis, and I feel like from where I was to where I am now, I feel like I made it out of St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? And now it's time to conquer the world after this. So that's what we are. We trying to conquer the world.
Now, there are some people who say things like, don't know if I'll make it to see the age of 18,
Yeah.
21, 25, for example, things of that nature. Did you ever have any of those thoughts yourself growing up in that location?
No, not really. Um, One of the best things about my situation though, when I was young, my mom ended up getting Section 8. So when she got Section 8, she took us from the hood to like the predominantly white area in St. Louis for a couple years. So we got to see a whole lot of different shit, be around a whole lot of different type of people, um, see how the other side live also, gain friends and knowledge and things like that. So when I did go back to the hood, I always like, yeah, this I'm making it out of this shit for sure. Like I know my mind is too strong for me not to, you know.
And what do you want to say to those? How long do you think you were in Section 8 for?
We was probably on Section 8 about 3 years, 3, 4 years.
Now, there's some good and bad connotations in
Hmm.
regards to Section 8. People have stereotypes about it and things of that nature. What do you want to say to those in the audience that have never experienced that uh, when it comes to those housed in Section 8? What do you want those in the audience to know about people in Section 8, if anything?
Man, shit, everybody need help sometimes. Thankful that we could have Section 8. Like I said, it took my mind frame from, 0 to 10. I was able to be in a way better environment, see way better people, go to a lot of better schools, shit like that. Sometimes you get into a situation when you're on Section 8 where you're in the hood, but it gives your mom a little bit of a cushion when it comes to rent, shit like that, to where if, she a hustler, she can go out work, get some extra money and really be able to save a little bit more at that time frame, especially if you got a lot of kids and shit like that. So, I mean, if you're on Section 8, man, salute to you. Strive and try to stack up as much as you can so you can get off that shit. That's the goal.
Now, be that as it may, knowing what you know now, zooming out here once again, hypothetically speaking, what would you have said to your younger self back then, if anything?
Oh man, stay focused. Um, and don't let nobody veer you off the track that you need to. Because like I said, when you growing up in the hood, there's a lot of vices, a lot of people that get in your ear, and they don't got the best interests in hand for you. But I luckily I had some people that was around me that tried to at least keep me focused, and then I had to grow up a little bit more so I can understand what they wanted to tell me back then. Which when you young and you gonna have them people that like do this or do that, or you ain't gonna be able to do this when you older, or this or that. Like you never really take heed to the shit. I just wish it could have been pushed into my head a little bit more by somebody who was more influential. But besides that, like yeah, stay focused. That's the main thing for real.
And winding down the questions here about your upbringing, when it comes to your father, you mentioned he passed away as well. But
Yeah.
when it comes to that relationship of you and him, um, was that relationship able to be repaired before his passing at all, or
No, not really. I mean, when he passed away, it was just like, okay, somebody else passed away in the family. It wasn't. It didn't feel like my dad passed away because he wasn't around. Um, Growing up a lot. I mean, it was always some type of lot of why he couldn't come around. Birthdays, he was never there. Christmas, and he wasn't around. So, I mean, at that point with my dad, it was what it was. I was doing my own thing, and I wasn't really tripping off my dad at the time when he did pass away. But I wish we could have got a little closer, and he could have fixed some of those bridges, but I feel like at the time that wasn't what he wanted to do. He was doing him. So, I mean, he a grown man. I'm a grown man now. So, rest in peace to him. But yeah, we didn't get to tie up everything that we needed to tie up before he passed away. Definitely not.
now, I asked you previously about, is there any unreleased music with you and Gucci Mane? I just wanted to clarify that too. I know you said there was like songs digitally traded back and forth between you
Mhm.
two at one point, but do you think, is there a number you could put on maybe how many unreleased songs there was of you two together?
I mean, that was the only record that we actually did and finished up. Um, but unreleased records, like I got one with Dirk that I have unreleased right now. I got one with Fiend. Shout out to Fiend. It's called Ball Like P that we got unreleased. I got one with Twista unreleased. Got one with my boy Kasky from Cash Money that's unreleased. Got a couple dope records. One with Dior that's unreleased. But with Gucci, yeah, we just knocked that one out, like that was finished and done, and that's the one that went on Ice Attack.
Will any of those unreleased songs that you just mentioned with these other artists ever see the light of day?
Yeah, I actually plan on putting them out later this year, next year, because right now we going on like a single run. So I want to put out singles all the way to the end of the year, build a bigger buzz, little fan base, and then next year try to drop the project.
And what was the holdup on putting these records out over the years?
Um, Label situations, like when I was in a situation before I was now, and it kind of went left field. So I was at the point to where I wasn't really even putting out music, and then music is the shit started to get old to you. And then some of those records you feel like, all right, those are old, I don't want to put them out, but you let other people hear them and they love them. So it's like, why am I holding on to this shit? Like, let me just go on and put it out for the streets, give it to the people and see what it do. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of all of the old records. We got a whole lot of new records that's gonna come out too. So we're just putting everything in order, and trying to really look at the broad aspect of it of releasing and get these singles done for real.
Care to share who you were with that went left field and who you're with now?
So right now I'm with shout out to my big homie Guccio. I just signed a deal with one RPM, that major distro. But before I was with Decon Entertainment. Shout out to Decon too. He put me on, gave me my first deal. But at the time, I feel like we were trying to figure out everything. He wasn't really he wasn't in music before he started rocking with me, or before he opened up a record label and we got on the road, and we were really just trying things out, see what would work, spending money frivolously. um, we figured out a lot of shit at the end, but I mean, once you start spending a lot of money on an artist and you're not getting the return back, that'll get you discouraged a little bit. And I feel like that's what happened. Like, we spent a lot of money on Break the Knob, over $200,000, and we didn't see $200,000 back. So the notoriety was getting there, but the money wasn't being recouped. So after that type of point, who else would keep putting, thousands and thousands of dollars into something that they don't see, an outcome or a return on investment with?
But what's the current status with you two at this point?
Oh, we good. We good. I actually just talked to him the other day. I'm putting together the single release party for the new record, and told him to come out, gave him an invitation. So everything 100 with us right now.
Care to share the title of the new record and the title of this project you just teased?
Oh, so the single is called Chinese Depths, produced by my boy Rory 808. The project, I haven't gave it a title yet. Right now, I probably got about 15, 20 records done just in the vault. I'm gonna keep working. Like I said, for the rest of the year, we're gonna be dropping singles. And those singles might make it to the project. They might not make it to the project, but we want to give a body of work next year that's, full and some timeless shit so where the people can really rock with it.
So 2026 as far as the project?
Yeah, 2026 for sure.